concept of so variable is just to refer the memory location and that holds the information data. So it comes with different types, like it is just a container which stores the data. So that container store different kinds of data, like you can store right. So every means there are different data types which hold that data. Okay, so integer, float, string, boolean. Is there any doubt in this to understand the data type? Yeah. Okay. So your numeric, it comes in the form of integer, float, and complex. These comes under numeric data type. Nothing but textual data, text, or you can say character data, CADD data, which represents like in double quotes. Then third is the third pattern is boolean. Boolean is like true and false form, a form of data. So these are different data types, and there are some tricks to understand the declared data type. Like if you declare x is equal to 10, so and you want to know what exactly this hold, so you can use functions. Like there are different functions. First, type, of you can provide that argument inside this bracket to know the type of that argument. Along with this, you can use is instance, right? Okay, let's execute here itself. First execute this variable, and next cell will check the type of this variable. So here I'm using type function, type of x. Once the first cell execute, let it be, and then we'll execute the second cell. Yeah, now it's executed. Just try. Type to know the assigned data type. It is integer. Int stands for integer. Also we can check. Let's open a new cell. Is instance for x. This is instance function. Is instance is basically checks if variable is an instance of that specified type or not. So it is a question answer, like we are getting a boolean answer like true or false. If it is true, otherwise, okay, we have to pass argument. Let's call two arguments got one. Okay, we are checking, so we have to write, we want to check whether it is integer or not. So we can check like this. If you check, if you just write str or something like float, okay, so we'll get a different answer. Let's try with the float. Yes, like this. We can use is instance function. Also, there is an attribute to check the data type. So attribute we can call by underscore class. Here it is. Class, and then we have to specify that name. Okay, so this will also give you the type of the object. So these are different types, like to check the assigned data type. Now, as here, there is a separate data type called as a text, or which is in the form of the text or character data. So we'll some manipulation with that data structure, like how we can handle that data. Okay, string data. So string is nothing but the textual data. Like you can consider any string. Suppose here I am assigning, let's assign omics. This is one string. If we execute, and if you want to check type of this string, type of this variable string, this is a string, s is capital. Okay, so we get str. Now this is one form. Now let's change this. Suppose now I'm changing this variable with string 1, and let's create here one string. as a sequence string, ATGC. Okay, now change this variable with 1 and execute. Even we can call this string1 to check the output. So this is the value hold by that string1 variable. Okay, now let's see how we can manipulate, what all things we can do with the string. So when we handle the string, there are two ways we can handle. First is indexing and slicing. So indexing is what? Index, like it is a ordered collection from start to end, it is in specific order. So indexing means we can fetch any particular index value, and slicing is just a piece of that string. Piece means either like this, any part from start to end, from start to middle, or any random thing. So slicing is what? A sub string of the original string. It's like a piece of cake, slice of cake. Clear? Any doubt till here? Okay, you all can create one string. Okay, let's create here itself. Let's create a variable called as a DNA sec. There's no space in between two words, DNA underscore sec, or you can just write sequence, any name you can provide, and just provide a sequence here, like random ATGC sequence, all nucleotide bases, execute. Now, if you want to check length of the sequence, how many bases we have added, so simply we can call len function and provide the variable. So we are checking for this variable. Okay, there are 24 24 nucleotide bases. Now, if you want to create one variable to store that value, then you can create here like this. This is a variable name length, which hold the length of this sequence, right? And then we can execute this length value just by calling that variable. Like here, I'm calling length. So this variable hold the actual value of that sequence length, total count of sequence. Okay, now let's see what exactly indexing. If we want to fetch something from the sequence by using index, so index is calculated from, let's let me clear here, there are two types of index. Positive index is like it starts with 0. There are suppose n number of elements, so last will be your n. Okay, and there's a negative indexing. Negative, it's always start from right hand side and it ends, suppose this is your n minus n, and like this is a 1 minus 1. So from 1 to n in reverse order. Okay, so whenever you want to fetch something from that string, for fetching always use square brackets. Inside square bracket you have to write the index. So here you have to mention the index, whether it is 0, 1, 2. Okay, for only single element fetching, that is called as a indexing. And then slicing, so slicing means again for fetching substring we have to use square bracket, but inside that you can write as it is what we can say slice. So we have to mention from where to start, like start index colon to mention the end index, like this. So let's take some example from this sequence. Let's execute the sequence first. So here I'm executing. So we can execute it properly, like suppose I'm writing here print function. Let's label it properly as it is our sequence. So I'm writing original DNA sequence. This will execute as a statement, and then we can fetch the variable name is DNA underscore sec. Okay, so this is our original sequence. Like this we'll get the output. Now from this sequence, if we want to fetch first element, first base, so what is the first base? A. So for that, let's create one new variable to store that value as a first base. But here I am using original sequence, and by using square bracket, as we want to fetch first value. So first means indexing start with 0. So let's provide 0 inside square bracket, and then let's execute the value. So this is a first base. You'll get this first base is A. So as we have written the statement, same way we can write it here. So let me copy this statement, so this print statement, and change it as we want to fetch first base of DNA sequence. Then here what we have to fetch? We have to fetch this first base variable. That's it. Okay, clear? Any doubt till here? Yes, those who have raised hand, just unmute and ask your question. Attendance link. Okay, before attendance link, I already asked something to you, right? Don't come just to mark your attendance. Okay, I hope it is clear, all of you, right? Okay, thank you. Now let's, okay, so if I ask fetch last element or second element, so how we can fetch? As suppose we want to fetch, okay, let's take example. We'll fetch from middle element. So there slicing will help. So if we want to slice something from start position to end position, let's slice something from this sequence. So here to check what we are slicing, so we can copy the statement again and again in any cell. So here itself we can visualize the output. Okay, suppose here I'm taking slice 1 and slice 1 from existing sequence. Here need to mention the ID. So let's take a base from second to, as there are 24 bases, so I'm here taking 2 to, let's take 10. Okay, so this is nothing but our slice 1. That's it. Like this you can verify here 0 1 2, so it will start from second to 10 position. And if you want skip any particular, like you want first, then third, then one skip, like fourth skip, fifth, sixth skip, seventh, so that skipping also you can do. So for that, like this is a start index, this is a end index, after that one more colon, and you can provide the skipping like step. So suppose we want to step something here, so let's write slice underscore 2, this is new variable. Now let's fetch something from existing sequence from DNSSEC, from, let's take from second to 10, or let's write it 15th, till 15th we want, but with a step of 2, means alternate. Okay, then execute this slice 2. Okay, now you can verify here, like it will start from second, so 0 first second, so G is the first base, then one skip, that is C skip, and then next is G, T skip, next is A. So this way you can try to with the other options like skipping of 3, skipping of 5. Okay, like this. Now for practice you can take one string, like here it is difficult to interpret the outcome. So let's create one string. Suppose here I'm creating as a variable my string. Let's create the string hello, or any string, your name also you can create as a string. Done. Or let's take hello comma space, space also considered as a that value, that space index, exclamation. This is a standard way to declare a string. Now if you check the indices here, suppose So like for H, it will be 0 and so on. So you can count 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Space is also a character and then till last. I think it comes with 12 or if you want to verify, you can call len of my string. That's it. Okay, so 13 means 0 to 12 means total there is a 13 characters. Okay, now from this, if you want to fetch something like any string or any particular index or slice, so you can fetch. Suppose here I am fetching first character. So how to fetch? In square bracket, just write 0. So first char, we have to write it like from where to fetch. So this is a variable name, and then we can mention this my string here because from that string we want to fetch. Okay, now check this first char variable, what exactly the character stores. So it is H. Like this, you can verify any other like fourth, fifth, till third, till 12th because the end index is 10, 12th. Okay, now try with a negative indexing if it is start from -1. So -1 to -13. Okay, this is negative indexing. So minus H will be your -13. And here from here you can start. So if I'm fetching here, let's fetch one more index. Suppose here I'm fetching second. Let's fetch second last. Okay, so this is a new variable. Let's fetch from existing string, that is my string. So as we want to fetch second last, if you calculate second last means this first and second. So L. So let's try with a negative indexing. So here we can write -2, execute and check the outcome. Just call the variable which store that. Why it is D? Because this exclamation is also a ID, index ID. Clear? Now, if you just skip any particular index, like if you skip first index or last index and you want to slice, so it will fetch from start. If you skip the initial index, it will fetch from start. Like for example, let's fetch from my string. I'm skipping here start index, so I'm not giving anything before colon. After colon, let's try suppose 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and let's consider some average middle of this string and execute. What we are getting? Hello. So it will start from first index. Now let's try some other combination. Here, if I skip end index and we are starting from sixth till end, so we are getting world because it will start from 6 towards end of the string. Clear? Let's take negative indexing as well. So if you consider here, suppose start and end both, like from 6, or let's take a middle one, 2 to 5 only. So 2, 3, 4, 5, only 3 letters till fifth, like this. You can calculate, just observe the string and you'll get. So same way you can write negative indexing as well from an end. Like here, if I'm writing, let's start from -4. So if you can calculate -1, -2, -3, and -4. So -4 to, if you write the without ID, it will give you till end of the string. Otherwise, you can mention the ID like this. Clear? So what we are getting? RLD. Okay, you can verify as we have started from -4 because this is -1, -2, -3, -4. So from here rightwards, -4 to -1. That's why we are getting RLD. You can also combine positive and negative index. Like, as there are total 13 characters, we already checked the length, and here I am writing, suppose we, let's start with my 7, and from 7 to -1. Okay, like this. Okay, so this, you can use different combinations. If you want to fetch a single element, use id, index id, as like this. If you want to fetch slice, then you have to mention start and position, and if you want step, then step as well. Now let's check, let me copy this original sequence. Okay, here in the new cell. Yeah, execute. Now let's take a reverse of this by using negative indexing. So for that, let's create one variable, like this is a reverse sequence. Let me write it like this. Okay, so we want to take a reverse sequence of original sequence. So original sequence is what? DNA underscore sec. So to take negative, or start from right hand side, like in reverse order, we have to use negative indexing. So for that, the syntax is double colon and -1. Okay, this is a reverse index. Just execute this first. If you want to check this, let's call this variable reverse sec, execute and check. If you want to specify like this, so here I'm pasting this statement. Need to change the variable like this and execute and verify. So reverse means this last base will come at the first position. So this way, because we are taking -1, starts from -1 till end. So C to A, you can see C to A. Okay. Now for this sequence, if we want to calculate the half, like we know that there are 13 bases. So if you create a half, then in first half, how many bases will be there? Okay, let's calculate here itself. So now I'm creating one variable. Let's call first length, or we have already called. Okay, let me check. Let me create your new variable. Length is nothing but len of DNA sec. Okay, let's check first length, total length. So it is 24. I think this DNA sequence. Okay, fine. So this is a DNA sec, length total 24. Now let's call here. If we want to simply half of this, so let's create a new variable and call this length variable. Just use mathematical. If you want a round figure, you can use floor division divided by 2, and then check here half. So what we are getting? Half of this, like simple mathematics. But if you want to fetch a sequence, like let's call your first half, like first 12 bases. So I'm creating your first half, and then let's call sequence. What's the name of this variable? DNSSEC. Okay, and from initial position to half, like this you can mention. So this is your first half part. If you want to execute this first half, let's call this first half. So this is the first half. Same way you can create a second half. So just create a second half. Let me change the variable name here. So what we need to do, start from mid of the sequence till end of the sequence, like this. Okay. You can check cross verify by calling length function, like the half, first half and second half total basis. This is all about how to create a half of the sequence by using indexing and slicing. Now let's see some more functions about handling string for this sequence, for this original sequence. Like if you want to count, here you can check manually because this is a very small sequence, like how many A bases, T base or individual nucleotide base. But if you want to count that by using function, let's count here for A, count of A from existing sequence. Existing sequence is DNS-seq. Then how to count? We can use count function. This is a built-in function. Just call count and then provide what you want to count. So let's count. As it is a string or character, you have to use quotes. This is nothing but count of A. So let's check with this variable what exactly the total count of A base. Okay. Or simply we can call print function to execute this. You can try for other bases, right? Same way you can write for all four. Need to change your variable name. If we are taking count for T, let's make change in the output as well. For next base pair, base, and then execute wholesale. Calculate and verify at total count is 24 or not. Okay. Now this is about a individual base, but if you're looking for a substring, like if you're looking for any primer or any start or stop codon or any substring, like suppose here we are taking example of let's take this ACA. Okay, so suppose we are looking for the position of this ACA, means we are finding the index ID of that ACA. So for that we can use find function. Simply, so we are looking for substring index, right? So here I'm creating new variable substring index, call existing variable, existing sequence, and call find function. So what we are looking, that we have to mention, I just pressed this substring. This substring ID we are looking. So let's check what exactly the start ID of this index. So it starts from the at position. You can try any other substring from whatever sequence you have created, or that might be your name or any string which you have created. Just check the substring index. Yes, got this. How to find substring index. Okay, now what else we can do with this string, as we are handling string here. So suppose you are handling a sequence, any sequence, amino acid sequence, DNA sequence, RNA sequence, and if you want to create it, or if you just want to change the case of the sequence, like if input sequence is in uppercase and or lowercase, and you are working with the uppercase. Like here, we what we have done, we are searching for capital A. We are searching for all bases in the capital letters. And if your input sequence is in lowercase letter, then it is difficult to find that particular base. Otherwise, it will show this is not exist, right? So in that case, first we need to change the case of the sequence. So for that also we can use functions, built-in functions, like how to convert lower to upper sequence. So as we already have sequence in the form of uppercase, so we'll try to convert this into lowercase. Or what we can do, let me take this sequence in the new cell here and convert into lowercase. So I'm creating new variable as a lower sec. So we want to convert existing sequence. So this is our existing sequence into lower, right? So let's call here function lower. This is a function. Okay. Now check the output, or let's execute the output like this. Okay. Now we have this lowercase DNA sequence. So that sequence we can convert into uppercase. So for that, let's create new variable. Like here, I'm creating upper sec. So for upper sec, our input must be lowercase sequence. So let's call this lower sequence and then change this into upper like this. Okay. And then here you can call this upper sequence variable. Clear? You can try. Any doubt till here? Okay, now one more function we can use to handle the string. Suppose we want to replace or we want to change the DNA into RNA or any particular sequence, subsequence. If you want to change substring, we want to change, then we can use replace function. Okay, like whenever you call this sequence and provide like this and provide dot, you'll get these many functions like uppercase, capitalization, case fold, center, count, ends with. If you are looking for specific string, then we can use an ends with, find, format. Okay. So same way you can replace as well. So how to use this replace? You can see old. First we have to mention what you want to replace. So old string will be here, new string will be here. Like this you can replace. So let's replace something from existing string, or for that we can execute the original string. Let me paste it here, original string. Okay, so we need to replace something. We have to fill that arguments. So let's replace. Suppose we are looking for consequent 80. So this is your old string which you want to replace. So replace 80 with. So to just note how exactly it replaced, we are taking here something like 4x and replace. Okay, now in new string, replace string, you can see how many times it replaced 80. So I think there are two times, means so 80 string exist in original sequence, and it get replaced with XXX. Clear? Okay. Any doubt in any function, any sequence manipulation? I shared the attendance sheet. So in initially we have checked the different types of data, right? Like numeric data comes in the form of integer, float, complex, string data, boolean data. So this we have checked string data. How to handle the string data, how to handle the sequence data, DNA, RNA sequence, or you can also take a amino acid sequence. So this is all about string, but here what happened? Like only one sequence per variable we have used, and if you want to use multiple values for a single variable, it is how we can use this. Like suppose for x hold 10, means x is a variable which hold a value 10. So x is a container, like your name, a unique name, right? Everybody having a one name only, one id, one Aadhaar id, or any unique one id. But in case if you want to store some multiple values, like here I'm storing multiple values, like by using 10 I want to store 20, 30, 40, like this, and if I'll execute, what will happen? This x is not more a variable, that will change in other type. Like you can see here it comes with a bracket, and let's see, type of this x is not just integer, but it is in tuple. So tuple is what? It is a structure, it is a container. Container means where you can hold, where you can store the values. Okay, so the next term is nothing but data. We learn data, right? Data and their data types. Now next is data structure. Structure means simply organizer. Like you can consider, you can assume your wardrobe, your cupboard, your bookshelf, your uh, container, okay, where you can store the multiple data, organized way. So data structure, it's simply like a container, organized container. Not necessary every time your data is in organized form. It might be a randomly arranged data, but this is a data structure. So what all data structure exist in Python? Very popular one is a list. List means it is ordered collection. Why ordered? Order means when you want to fetch something, you can call by index because it is in order 1 to 10. It's not a random 1, 5, 6, 10. It's not like that. It is in proper order. Index values are there. So you can fetch by using ID. Then it is heterogeneous. Heterogeneous is what? Heterogeneous. Heterogeneous means you can use multiple or different types of data. Heterogeneous means you can use in that list numerical value, also string value, also boolean value, like all kind of data type you can store in a one container. Also it is a mutable. Mutable means when you declare that list you can change the values. So mutation or mutable means you can either append new value, you can delete existing value, or you can insert new value in that. Anything you can do. So the term is append, extend, and pop. Pop means pop out. Okay, so that all things you can do in mutation. This is all about list. We'll see or in next session you might go through this data structure in detail. Then there is another data structure called as a tuple. Tuple is again order collection, but it always store create by using round brackets. Okay, in round bracket you can mention the values like this. So tuple, once you created tuple, you cannot change. So this is called as a immutable. Yeah, but it's in ordered collection, so you can do indexing to fetch any value. And as it is indexed, you can also slice. Means slicing is, you can do slicing as well. Okay. There is one more data type, data structure called as a set. Set is not in proper order. All elements are randomly arranged. So this is a kind of unordered. data, and also it hold a unique value. Means no repetition, redundancy is not there. So unique data stored in the set, but you can change, you can update, you can append, delete, insert. So it is a mutable. And as it is unordered, unordered means when you want to fetch something, you cannot follow the index value because this is not in properly arranged manner. So that's why there is no indexing. Okay. And when you want to fetch something, then how to fetch as it is not in order. So for fetching, you have to use method iteration by looping. Okay. And the most popular data structure is dictionary. Dict stands for dictionary. Dictionary always store the value in the form of key and their associated value. Key must be unique, like your Aadhaar ID and your name. So name might be repeat, but Aadhaar ID will be always a unique, or passport ID, anything. So key is unique value. Each dictionary having means each key is a unique. Also, it is mutable. You can change that. Once declared, you can change. Okay. So these all things you'll explore in detail with hands-on in next session. For today, that's it. If you have any doubt in today's session in any concept, then please feel free to ask. Mark your attendance.